I found the perfect use for my Garvey clamp-on bucket forks. I've got several things that I need to move around with forks, but then I need the bucket to move the trailer in here in just a minute. So I didn't really want to swap out the bucket for the forks, so I just get my handy dandy Garvey clamp-on forks, and it's just a quick add-on. I tell you what, these Garvey forks are so heavy duty. I cannot begin to describe how much they impress me. And I was not a believer for any clamp-on type attachments. I thought, man, that's pretty hokey. And how much money are you really saving? Which I understood people needed to save money. But these clamp-on forks by Garvey, not just the construction of them, but the ease of putting them on and off, just boggled my mind. I'm just going to show or demonstrate how the negative with clamp-on forks is your pivot point is not maximizing your full lift capacity. So you're so far out in front of your pivot point on the where the bucket's attached that you're not going to be able to lift these two 50-gallon barrels of water up. That's as far as I can lift, and I can't tilt. I have no tilt function. So we're going to go ahead and change out the bucket with an actual pair of forks, just to demonstrate how important the pivot point is. Now you can see the difference between where the bucket pivot point is and where the forks, the actual pallet forks attached to the QD on the tractor, the pivot point is there. So let's see how much of a difference that makes. All right. I don't even have to explain it. You can see with your own eyes that bringing that pivot point in that much closer to the load gives you all kinds of additional lift capacity versus pinpoint being way back here. You're losing 18 inches, I would guess, of pivot point load capacity, which makes a huge difference. Now, Am I knocking the clamp-on pallet forks? Not really, because what you can do with them from a convenience and able to accomplish much with the clamp-on pallet forks, but they do have their limitations. But they do have their positives as well. Final verdict, the obvious choice is the Pallet Forks with the QD quick disconnect. It's going to give you the ultimate or maximum lift capacity designed for the tractor. However, the bucket and with the clamp-on, the Garvey clamp-on forks is very versatile. You can take the clamp-on forks off in a moment's notice and still have your bucket. Or if you need the forks real quick, you can just slap them on, clamp them down, and use your forks that way. As long as the load is not too heavy or requires a lot of lift capacity. So picking up logs, rolling them up, that type of stuff you can get away with. But the pallet forks or grapples definitely going to be the better way for handling logs. But you can see on the bucket I've got several accessories. Not only the clamp-on Garvey forks, but also the JB Fabwork mount, which has the hooks and also the receiver for putting a hitch on there so you can move trailers around or do trailer loading work, that type of stuff. So there's definitely a lot of versatility here, but if you want your maximum lifting capacity, you're better off attaching it right to your QD hitch on your front end loader on any tractor. It's going to be a little bit difficult to show you how much difference there is between, I'm going to call this the pivot point on the front end loader for the Kubota tractor. That's where you're going to measure and get your maximum lift capacity. So if you look at that, first of all, let's see how long the forks are on each. You've got 47 inches, 42 inches, so 42-inch forks. Now, there's pros and cons with the longer forks, yes. Sometimes you feel like you have better control of the load. The forks on the Garvey are definitely well built and heavy duty, but these 42-inch, lacking a few inches over the Garvey, they do work well and do perform well, so and it's definitely convenient being able to just use your QD and disconnect and reconnect. But if we were looking at pivot point and the load where it would be out, so 57 inches for the standard QD, and then if you were looking at the same condition, you're out about 64 inches. 64 inches versus 54 inches. So 10-inch difference. 10 inches does make a difference. Especially. All right, so if you're going to measure this, you really need to measure, I guess, where these forks clamp onto the bucket, and we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. where these clamps are back here to the pivot point of where they would line up with the front end loader. So let's say we give it benefit of difference. We're looking at 16 inches. 16 inches we're giving up from mounting these clamp-on forks to the bucket versus mounting the standard Land Pride pallet forks to the front end loader. So 16 inches, is that what I said? And that's giving it the benefit of the doubt right here as far as the strength, or the maximum strength of these clamp-on bucket forks. Pride pallet forks to your bucket and Garvey pallet forks for a little bit more versatility or for a special job that we're tackling. Simple as that.